So welcome everybody back. We're once again here, the Wheelie Good Podcast back once again. Stage number 3 of the Tour de France. We had mechanicals, we had crashes, we had a lot of people being angry and someone abandoning. A lot of stuff happened today. Taylor, take it away.
Well, it's what we didn't have was a breakaway. And that is a terrible day for everyone associated with the Tour de France, especially those people who are watching the whole stage. Now, I wasn't watching the whole stage. I made the executive decision not to.
Smart.
But I did tune in just before the intermediate sprint. Thankfully, I picked a good time because the intermediate sprint was especially chaotic.
Yes.
It wasn't too tricky on paper. It was just a straight line to the intermediate sprint point.
Yep.
However, sometimes with an intermediate sprint, because you have lead-out guys trying to take points away from the sprinters, you kind of get more people going for the same gaps. And as a result, it was a bit of a melee. Now, at the front, Jonathan Milan and Biniam Girmay got nice lead-outs from Intermarché, Wanty and Little Trek respectively. However, Brian Coquard tried to go between Milan, Consonni and Laurens Rex, who was the lead-out guy for Intermarché Wanty. And in doing so, just as he went for the gap, Milan came out of Consonni's wheel, who was his lead-out man. It wasn't a massive deviation. He was literally right next to his lead-out man, so he could not have moved less. And the gap closed. Coquard got boxed in, bounced off Laurens Rex, and fell straight into the path of Jasper Philipsen. And it was a pretty good save from Brian Coquard, but it was at the cost of the green jersey.
Indeed. I do have a screenshot here on the screen right now. We can actually see Coquard's both his shoes have clipped out of the pedals. He's having both legs on the ground, somehow saving that. He's just not even on his seat. Very chaotic. And I remember watching it and I was like, what on earth? How and why did that happen? But the crash looked really bad, and it very clearly also was.
So I think the latest update from the Alpecin-de-Koning Twitter account was that it is a fractured collarbone, I think.
Yeah, that was
and at least one fractured rib. They're saying maybe two, but they need another scan. So that was the update beforehand. I don't know where we're at now, but that was certainly the update after the stage.
That was also my exact prediction. I actually, if you're on a Discord server, I predicted broken collarbone and at least one broken rib. So I know my injuries when I see it.
But Coquard got absolutely berated by Caden Groves, who was leading out Jasper Philipsen. And in my eyes, Groves should count his lucky stars because he is now Alpecin-de-Koning's designated sprinter as a result. So maybe in the moment he was very much pissed. But I think he looks back later today and goes, okay, there's an opportunity here.
Yes. Do you think Groves can compete with Milan and Merli at all, is the question.
Well, he certainly couldn't on this stage because once again, there was no breakaway. However, actually, thinking about it, Tim Wellens did go on the attack. It was for one King of the Mountain point, and the British commentary team, and kind of me, had no idea that he actually could move into the jersey.
Oh, right.
But UAE Team Emirates did their research in the car because they said, you absolutely can go into the jersey. We've read the rule book, we've read it again, and we've read it one more time. And because of that, Wellens attacks, goes over the top of the one climb first, gets the point, and moves on to 3. And for some reason moves ahead of Tadej Pogacar. I don't actually know what the rules are.
The Danish commentating team was actually right on it to begin with. It was something like the rules like whoever's won the highest category mountain, whenever it's even. And they thought that Tadej had won the category 3 before, but he only got second place. Which is, if he had won the category 3, he would have stayed in polka dot jersey. But since he only got second, and apparently Wellens had won a category. I don't know if that was a category 3 specifically, that climb, but he had won a category 3.
That was a 4.
Right, so he had won a category 3 earlier, apparently, I believe. And that is then the reason that he was in. Maybe it wasn't. Actually, I think the reason was just that Tadej hasn't won a category. He only got second. And since that, he overtook the jersey, basically. Something along those lines.
The reason is convoluted. Yes. And that's why we're not discussing it anymore.
Yeah.
But UAE create one national champions jersey that's good, that actually has the country on it, that is not like just a tiny line. And now they're in the polka dot jersey. So not even the rider wants to wear a good national champions jersey.
Yeah.
I see how it is.
But I guess it is like they discussed. It's just, it's too much media attention. Tadej can just go straight to the team bus, get something to eat, chill out instead of having to do all the media stuff, which I think is very fair that he takes the jersey on that once.
Exactly, yeah. That was exactly what it was for, because Wellens went over the climb, and despite having like a minute 45, he worked up a good advantage with like 30 kilometers to go. And because like he hadn't attacked for the whole day apart from then, he would have been pretty fresh. So I'd have been intrigued to see how far he could have made it.
Yeah, I would have loved to see that.
Before he would have got caught, or maybe not even get caught at all. But we go to the sprint, and everybody is trying to find gaps. It's going a lot quicker because there was no breakaway and no pacing. Everybody's fresh, so everybody's fighting hard. And we get through the 5 kilometer banner. We're fine. Everybody's okay. And as a result, any crashes, everybody will be given the same time.
Yep. Thankfully.
Which is ironic, because there were crashes before 3 kilometers to go in particular. And there was a narrowing in the road. It went from 2 lanes to 1 lane, and everybody towards the back got bunched together, and it caused a mass incident. It was Jordi Meus who got a little bit chopped by Dylan Groenewegen. Again, nobody's fault. It was kind of the narrowing in the road that caused it. And as a result, a couple of riders went down, including one GC rider in particular, Lucas.
Yes, Remco Evenepoel. I didn't see him actually crashing. I just saw like the aftermath. And I saw he looked okay. I think he had a little scratch on his back, maybe on his elbow. And you saw also Roglic coming up to like ask if he was okay. So hopefully it's not anything too serious that would really suck for the third place battle. If he went out here. But yeah, have you heard anything more about it, or?
I haven't heard anything more about it. All I know really is that a couple of the GC guys, because they were towards the back, were held up by it, but didn't go down. I think Remco's the only one that actually hit the deck. Right. So forward everybody went, and it was time for the sprinters teams to show themselves. Now, it was a headwind sprint, which the stage winner in the interview afterwards explained is a bad one for lead-outs, because your lead-outs get drained super quick. True. And the one team that got it right were Picnic Post NL, which was a surprise. Tobias Lund Andersen might be MVP of the day, because he did a superb lead-out.
Oh, he did.
For Pavel Bittner, who, we've now found out who their sprinter is. Pavel Bittner is clearly sprinting for those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And he got a good result, but it was only good enough for 5th. He started his sprint far too early. Jonathan Milan was in Bittner's wheel, sat second wheel, perfect, but did not have the power, because from the wheel of Milan came Tim Merlier, and it was an absolute masterclass in positioning.
It was, man. I saw him as soon as he went to his wheel, Milan's wheel early on. I was like, oh, God, no. This is bad for the fantasy team, man. But I saw Miller having good pace, and I saw Merlier come from the back to the right, past him. And I was like, surely he hold it to the line. Surely he can hold it to the line. And it came down to a photo finish. But Merlier instantly knew he won it, put his hand in the air. I still don't know how they can see it, because like you saw in the photo, it's like 2 centimeters. How do they know? How do they know?
He said in the post-race interview that he thought he knew, so he threw his hand up, and the moment he threw his hand up, he went, oh, maybe not, which was why it went straight back down again. So yeah, that was funny. But Milan just threw his bike, I think, a little bit too early. Merlier was slightly late with the bike throw, but that was what it came down to, because it was literally a wheel.
It was.
Like a tire's width.
Yeah, basically. And I guess someone has a correct pick for today's stage.
Yeah, a certain someone does.
Someone.
I mean, I've not been blowing my own trumpet throughout this podcast. Definitely not with the Van Der Poel pick yesterday as well. No. But now 2 for 3. So, guys, this is not financial advice. Put your money on Pogacar for the next stage.
But the really important thing is, of course, the fantasy teams. What really matters in terms of the cycling bike knowledge. I think we'll start off with Taylor. Look at his team because he had the winner for today. If we're just scrolling down the rankings here somewhere.
Did I?
Let me just see. Oh, there it is. 85th. All right. I can't see the team. Give me a second. There we go.
I am not 100% sure I had the winner, Lucas. Because I've got Milan.
Right. I forgot you have Milan on your fantasy team. No. Well, that's good, actually. I'll take it. But talk me through it.
Well, the thinking is Arnaud Delis was involved in a crash right at the end. Yep. I actually should have mentioned this.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Penouet, Arnaud Delis, Emilien Jonier, I think those were the 3 main sprinters that went down in a crash super late on. And Jonier looked really bad. He went like careering into the barriers head on.
Yeah.
He was the worst of those guys. Delis was fine. He kind of like tumbled over rather than went slap. But yeah, Jonier doesn't look too great. I don't think we'll start the next stage, to be honest with you. Again, he's not been confirmed as a did not start as of recording.
Yeah.
But I don't think with the pace that he hit the barrier,
it looked bad.
And he was receiving medical attention. He was the last rider over the line as well. So yeah, I'm not sure whether he starts. Yeah. But there were some like interesting results, I guess, as a result of it being a weird sprint. You know, Søren Venerskjold was 4th after a good stage 1. He's been super consistent. And because of it, moves himself up into 6th in the point standings. Indeed. Especially now that Philipsen has gone. So you've got no green jersey, or the new green jersey, should I say, is Jonathan Milan, who moves himself onto 81, ahead of Biniam Guillemard, who was 6th. And actually, Phil Bauhaus was 3rd. He's another guy who is perhaps not as good of a sprinter as most of the field, but he can position himself like probably it's just him and Merlier who are like the 2 best positioners, I think, in the peloton. And he's consistently up there because of it, but like doesn't have the raw pace. But yeah, Delis for me is gonna come good. I believe in Delis.
It's gotta happen. Also, we never mentioned
that 93 was nice as well.
We never mentioned that Danny Van Poppel apparently got relegated from 8th till 36th. I'm not sure why, but it says so on your Pro Cycling Stats. I didn't see anything too bad in the final sprint, honestly. So I'm not sure where that came from, but that's just a quick mention. I thought I would get in there.
Yeah, it's very very uncommon to see a Danny Van Poppel relegation.
Yeah.
He's got history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just watching the sprint back now, waiting for a Danny Van Poppel incident.
Yeah. Anything?
But at the moment, I'm not seeing anything in the final sprint itself. It's kind of difficult to see with the camera angle changing over and over, but it must have been something before the final sprint because he didn't move too heavily once he'd started his sprint. So I wonder whether he perhaps caused that crash with Jonier and the rest of the guys.
Yeah, maybe. But my fantasy team is had a decent day. We've had Milan, of course, with the stage bonus. Didn't win the stage, 2nd place, still some points. Only also with some points, 35, surprisingly. Gurname, 121, decently carrying the team. Today, though, Admiral, first time with no points. I am disappointed he didn't go into a very quite a flat stage where he had no opportunity of going all the way. And there were no mountain sprints, but still, Lignerson with 17 and a couple here and there. So, you know, it's an okay day. I am counting mostly on the later stages of the tour. Well, I'm just going to swap out the entire team, but we'll see when it comes to that point, I guess.
Yes, and just to round off the podcast with the jerseys, Luka Mezgec, interestingly, was also given a relegation.
Oh.
So there was quite a lot going on in the sprint, clearly. Minus 25 UCI points for a manoeuvre. So, pretty interesting sprint, to say the least. Mm-hmm. But everybody was given the same time because of all the crashes and incidents. So no movement in the GC, other than Jasper Philipsen cedes his 7th place. So everybody 7th and below moves up 1 as a result. So Blackmore's into 7th, Johannesson 8th, O'Connor 9th, etc. The points jersey, Jonathan Milan takes the points jersey. He's 4 points ahead of Biniam Girmay. Now, these two have history, and it could be a tasty little tour if these two are both going for the points jersey. But with Merlier's win, he now moves on to 63. Now, will Merlier actually care about the points jersey now?
I don't think so. I don't think he's bothered.
Me neither, to be honest with you. He said, I came here for a stage win and I got a stage win. So it was like, there we are. Well, he's done his job. He's going to go home. So that's the points jersey. Obviously, Wellens moves into the lead in the mountains, and the youth classification stays the same because GC does as well. Yeah. And that is pretty much the summary of the day. Now, tomorrow is another chance for the hill riders. We go from Amiens to Rouen. It's another quite long stage, but it all kicks off at the end. Loads of climbs, 4 in particular in the final sort of 30 to 40 kilometres. 2 Cat 3s, 2 Cat 4s, and a false flat uphill finish. Shades of stage 2.
Indeed. I think it's going to be something of the same likes. It might end up in a similar scenario with at least Van Der Poel, Tadej, and Vingegaard near the front at the end. And if it is in that scenario, I think Van Der Poel might be a shout. But your pick was Tadej for tomorrow?
My pick was Tadej for tomorrow, and I think I'm going to stick with that. Hopefully it is a more exciting stage than today's stage, which I'm going to give a solid 4 out of 10. I think even despite all the drama across the whole stage, it was very dull, and that was because there was no breakaway. There was one moment where Matej Mohoric went off the front, just kind of accidentally, was followed by an Alpecin rider, and it was like, that is not going anywhere. And then Pollitt did like a weird attack, but jokey attack, and I'm not too much of a fan of those, to be honest with you.
I mean, if Wellens had decided to really go for it, then this could have been a more higher rated stage, but I think like a 4 is about fair, honestly.
Indeed, a 4 I agree with, but Wellens could have probably upped it to like a 7.
Easily.
There could have been a bit of drama at the very least, but easily. It is going to be a stage that is super important for green jersey with Philipsen out, and I think that's going to be the main story of the stage rather than Merlier winning, because to be honest, I can see Merlier winning another one.
Probably
with the form he's in at the moment.
For sure. But that's up to next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of today's podcast. If you're of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like and rate on Spotify and all that stuff, whatever it is you do, I don't know. And we'll see you all tomorrow with hopefully an interesting stage. Take care, everyone.